Hi everybody!
Review copy provided by Keymailer. So, Felix the Cat was one of my favorite cartoons when I was a young kid. This game also happened to be one of my favorites to rent from Blockbuster when my family had both the SNES and the Genesis. I always preferred the Genesis where possible, but if I saw this game, I always rented it. Who remembers when you could rent games?
I'm old, Gandalf.
When I saw this game on Keymailer, I had to apply for a review copy. So, is this game as good as I remember it being, or is it a decidedly mid-game? The gameplay loop is as basic as you're going to find, which makes sense as this game did come out in 1992 for the NES and 93 for the Game Boy, which, by the way, you get both versions included in this package along with the Japanese version, which is nice, I guess, but if you're looking for a platformer with a ton of depth, this one isn't the game you're looking for. Basically, you've got the ability to move backwards or forwards, jump, and perform an attack based off what level of magic Felix is currently at. The magic is also an indicator of how many hits Felix can take. If he's at the lowest level of magic and gets hit, Felix dies. You know, pretty typical platformer stuff. While this game is on the basic side, it does offer plenty of challenge because the precision of the platforming isn't exceptional. In fact, I'd describe it as very floaty. Now, floaty controls can be great. A Hat in Time is one example on the 3D side where it works. It also works perfectly in Hollow Knight. However, both games allow for far more precise platforming than Felix does. Now, for the early 90s, this was a great feeling game. It's still fun to this day, so I can't knock it too badly for that. Once you get used to the floaty controls, there's almost a rhythm to this game, which to me is one of the biggest pleasures in platforming when you get in a zone and speed through levels. This game is also rather short, as you can beat it in about an hour if you're good enough. That's probably why they included the Game Boy version and the Japanese one as well, just so you have some extra playtime. They all play the same though. The Game Boy version just has fewer levels, so I would say just play the standard North American version. But getting back to the gameplay properly, the hitboxes can be a little bit off at times. You will also probably slide a lot after most jumps. Speaking of jumps, you're going to frequently do blind ones and leaps of faith, which can be a little bit frustrating if you collide with an enemy you didn't see coming. But that is to be expected given the era the game came out in. These games would artificially inflate the difficulty just to make sure kids couldn't beat the game in a weekend. So that's actually one thing that has improved with modern gaming. Even if we have some issues now, such as microtransactions, boring cinematic games, and unfinished AAA bullshit. If you want to hear my rant about that topic, hit the subscribe button. So how did the game age as a whole? Honestly, not well. If you were to draw up a design document for a modern 2D platformer, this game would pretty much be listed for all of the cardinal sins. Its difficulty is on the cheap side, but it's beatable. The boss fights are kind of a joke. Basically, the best way I can describe it is the game aged like milk. Albeit, you can still have some fun here if you like vanilla platformers with a high level of difficulty. I happen to like this type of game, but it's not for everyone. I would say if you find this for $10 or under, pick it up. But at $25, it is a bit of a steep asking price since not enough was changed to make it worth the current asking price. If I'm being honest, this feels more like a straight up port than a remaster, which is why it should be put in the buy it for $10 or under category. One thing I would like to mention is I tried this game on both a standard DualSense and on a Hori Fighting Commander Octa. Considering the Hori is intended for more precise movement, I thought maybe things would feel better. Nope, they remain the same, so do bear that in mind if you have a controller intended for 2D games. Like the Fighting Commander Octa, you aren't in for a better experience. Even on that controller's more precise D-pad, things are super slippery. Almost as slippery as a lubed up soccer player covered in butter. If you like slippery platformers or diving soccer players, comment below. While this game was one of my childhood favorites, and I can enjoy it because of nostalgia, it's not a game that aged all that gracefully. If you can look past this game's flaws, then you'll have a good time with it, even if you don't have nostalgia for the franchise, which started shortly after the Great War ended and continues in some form or another to this day. You'll still probably have some fun with it. Overall, I do like this collection. If you liked the video, hit the like button. My final rating for Felix the Cat on the PlayStation 5 is a 6 out of 10. It's as vanilla a platformer as it gets, and sometimes that's a good thing. Thanks go out to my current channel members, R. Campbell and Dani Boy. If you'd like to help the channel out further, you can do so by hitting the join button or the link in the description. If you'd like to check out more of my reviews, why not check out my thoughts on Frogun? Until next time, keep blazing that trail.